Hello, MysticcMarcel here and welcome to a new Unturned update video. We are talking about update 3.26.2.0, the Wild Harvest update. Lord Nelson has officially blessed us with a vanilla content update in the year 2026. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So yes, we are going right into these update notes. Like I said, 3.26.2.0 Wild Harvest. Fishing overhaul, clay ore into bricks, food revamps, and much more. And this update is genuinely packed with content. If you like vanilla content, curated map is probably gonna be in the next update, I would imagine, but we are solely talking about vanilla content that is added to every single official map, and obviously server owners can decide if they want to toggle on or off some of these features, like always. So we got three nice pictures here. We got the fishing is more challenging but also more rewarding. Then we got mine clay and smelt it into bricks. Look at this. We can finally craft our own bricks instead of having to find them, because brick, if you don't know, is the strongest material for your base. But so far there were only brick walls and maybe pillars, I believe. So, and farming them was atrocious. So this is actually a really good update and gives you the option, or at least makes it more viable for you to actually use bricks in your builds. And then we got forage wild mushrooms, an alternative food source. So we have updated base building, we have a big fishing overhaul, and a ton of food and animations for eating updates. So I have prepared some lockers for us and we will go through these one by one. So first off, we have when a fish takes the bait, you must complete a challenge before it's caught. Requires map to support it, can be disabled from the advanced config. And what does that mean? Yes, we have different fishing rods in the game. If you didn't know, there's birch, maple, pine, your wood variants, then the fishing rod that you can find in like campsites, etc. And with a upgraded fishing rod blueprint, you were able in the past on Russia when doing the quest to go for an upgraded fishing rod that made you able to catch the giant squid for one of the quest lines. This blueprint can be obtained on any of the official maps by fishing. It's very rare, obviously, but on Russia it's still locked to the quest line. So yeah, let's take the normal fishing rod for example, and let me show you in practice what fishing looks like now. So you still hold that button until it reaches the top, and after that you wait. This is still pretty similar, but just like in Stardew Valley, for example, if you've played that before, we will get a little mini game now. But it's slightly better, I would say, than like Stardew Valley, because the punishment isn't as hard. So here we go. Okay, so as you can see, it went into the red there, but it doesn't automatically go away. And when it goes all the way down, this is like the escape bar. But as soon as I touch the fish, it is done. And you kind of have to keep the white box on the fish so the catch bar goes up. And if it's full, like you saw right now, we caught ourselves a little raw minnow. Just like you saw, when the bar goes fully down, it doesn't just end the minigame. No, there's going to be an escape bar, and this one, if it goes fully down, obviously you lose the catch. Okay, so I'm going to intentionally not let this one get caught, and if it goes fully down, you have a little sound and animation, and I didn't click anything. You don't have to recast. It just waits now until the next fish catches on, and then you can try the mini game again. So it is not as punishing, for example, for bigger fish or harder to catch fish as something like Stardew Valley or other games, but it is still a fun little activity that makes fishing at least a bit more interesting. Not like, for example, Minecraft, where you also just throw the rod in and then basically you just click one button and you caught it. And like I mentioned, if you have the new blueprint, the upgraded fishing rod blueprint, if you have played Russia quest before, you probably notice it. With this and a fishing rod and one explosive, one nail and 2 wire, you can craft yourself an upgraded fishing rod. Does require crafting level 2 and a workbench. You don't have to put this stuff in here, I'm just doing it for demonstration purposes. and to empty my inventory. But yeah, simple workbench. You need this one. And for example, if we search for rod, down here it is, and this is now white. So yeah, all I would need now is crafting 2 and the rest of the materials. The workbench, something completely new to me, like all the workstations that are in the game now from like an update like 5 months ago, I think it was. I haven't played the game in almost 3 years. Fun fact, my first ever Unturned Let's Play video, or Unturned video in general, today, 2nd of April, turned 10 years old, which is just mind-blowing. It's insane. Just a fun fact. You can disable the new fishing stuff in the advanced config file if you don't want that on your server or single player, for example. Then catchable loot is now map specific. This means some fish are more common or much rarer depending on the map. Fish are caught more frequently during rainstorms, which was actually a suggestion by P9 for Nelson. So cool that that's been turned into a feature. Then wooden rods are weaker than standard rods. We talked about that. Then we get to some of the new stuff you can catch, because some new fish and just miscellaneous stuff was added. So we have the seaweed, we have a shrimp, we have a goatfish, northern pike, dolphin fish, a lobster, a giant trevally, a raw tuna, and obviously the cooked versions of every single one of these fish as well. And something very interesting, they added a pike blueprint for crafting the pike. And this is what a pike is. It's basically like a spear, I guess. I'm currently on the Liberator, so I can't punch right now or use it. But yeah, it is pretty cool looking, I guess. Let me turn off the smooth camera and slow it down a bit. Yes, very long weapon, and it actually has the furthest reach of all vanilla melee weapons. Also, I gotta give myself an MRE because I am dying. As a little tease, there is new animations for a lot of the food stuff, like I mentioned. So yeah, you can have a pike now and a blueprint for the pike. You can fish that. It is very rare though. Then let's get started with the food stuff. So we have a new brown cap mushroom and red spotted mushroom with roasted variants of those. These mushrooms were added to all maps. They're somewhat rare and can typically be found under trees. So if you're running around in the forest sections of every single official map, look out for tree stumps with like mushrooms on it if you're hungry. And then they also, mushroom related, added the mushroom pizza and the mushroom stew. Let us look at all of the different eating animations for these things as well. So this mushroom and this mushroom, they still have the normal things. Oh my god, I'm high. Holy shit. Oh, well, that didn't take long. That's nice. So the roasted brown mushrooms. These look so cool, like taking them apart piece by piece. The other mushrooms should be the same one, just different types of mushroom. Then we have the mushroom pizza. Let me turn the HUD off for eating. It just looks so cool. It just looks so freaking cool. The soups, they gotta be one of my favorite animations in this whole update. Look at this. Oh, you take like a spoon and different sound effects. It is amazing. Amazing, yeah, amazing. And you actually slurp out the rest of the brew, which is sick. And as you can see, we got the ceramic bowl in our inventory, but we will get to that later. So continuing with cooking. You want a 5-star meal in your unturned, I don't know, roleplay server or just in your server or single player world in general, Nelson's got you covered, and the rest of the team obviously. We have a lobster roll. It's just so cool. This is so cool. We're gonna go through this one by one. The video will have chapters, so if you don't want to see every single little detail, you can just skip ahead. We next up have the Pokeball. Very cool. And let me guess, you keep the bowl? Yes, you indeed keep the ceramic bowl. Nice. The salmon minoir or whatever. I don't speak French. I'm sorry. It is very cool that he picks up the pieces like one by one. This is really cool. Once again, the soups are like some of my favorite stuff. This right now is the seaweed soup. The one before, by the way, was the stargazy pie. Next up we have the vegetable soup. The vegetable stew. And drinking it once again. Very cool, very cool. Then we have a baked potato. Eating a whole baked potato in 2 bites. That is crazy, but okay. Next up, we have cooked rice. Then we have rice. That is just the normal eating animation like we know and love. Sugarcane, also new item. And then we have sugar. I don't think we can eat sugar. This is indeed a culinary ingredient with an enchanting sweetness. But yeah, that is also something new that has been added. So yeah, and we looked at all of these new fish types. And Nelson has also added a sandwich for every single one of these. The lobster sandwich, I will also show you the new sandwich eating animation. For example, we also have older stuff like the MRE, like I showed you before, which also got all updated. So it's not just the new stuff that got the cool stuff, okay? It is such a cool update. I'm actually in kind of a mood to play more Unturned again, which is crazy, So yeah, also, by the way, next to the food stuff, they also added an alternative recipe for pizza, just using canned beef. So that's another option to make pizza. By the way, when mentioning all the food stuff, like the food and water values and stuff, what it regenerates has been updated for everything. So if I, for example, give myself Stargaze Pie again, if we look at it in the inventory, it restores food, health, and water. So you can actually restore health with these food items. So yes, now we get into some farming stuff. They added brown cap mushroom seed and a red spotted mushroom seed. So you can do that. Rice and sugarcane also got a seed, so you can actually plant that yourself. And they added the Hanu berry, which is a new type of berry. Also, obviously, the refined and the seed, and a Hanu berry pie, which gives you 50 food, 100 oxygen, and 50 water. I don't know, if you're underwater, I guess you can restore your oxygen when eating this pie. 100 as well, so you can basically go on underwater adventures with this instead of leveling the skill. I think there's a skill for diving, for example. Yeah, the diving skill here. As a side note, they also reduced berry pie crafting costs from 4 refined berries down to 3. And now we get into the consumable updates. They updated eating animations for candy bars, canned food, sandwiches, donuts, pancakes, waffles, bread, cake, pies, chips, MREs, pizza, and meat. So all of the old stuff, like I mentioned, got updated as well. So for example, if we go ahead and eat this cake, you can look at the animation that has been updated. I also eat a cake like this, one whole cake in one go. But some of my favorites I wanted to show. We already looked at one of the pizzas before. Let me show you the MRE again, because this is one of my favorites, and it's like the quickest animation as well, which perfectly fits the MRE being like a bit more rare and the more military like high tier loot food item that restores both food and water. Then chips are also very cool because you actually open the bag and then the hand is a bit clipping into the chips bag, but that's okay. And one of my other favorites is the candy bar, or any of the candy bars in the game. Nice. But yeah, and also with this, because the crafting of bandages and dressings, or rag to bandage to dressing got updated with the workstations, because you now need an alchemy station for crafting bandages into dressings, like the pink ones, the high tier bandages. Nelson now added a dressing blueprint, so if you have this in your inventory, you can from your inventory craft bandages and chemicals together for dressings on the go, so you don't need an alchemy table next to you at all times, because that one is probably sitting in your base if you have one. And this one spawns in libraries, so you actually have a reason to go into libraries. Then they changed the heat stim, that is probably the most useful from vanilla maps or official maps on Yukon, because the duration of this heat stim has been changed from 9 seconds to around 20 seconds. So you get a warmth buff, which is most useful on maps like Yukon with a snowstorm. Yeah, in general they buffed most fish and fish sandwiches to restore more water when eaten. Like I said, rebalancing too many food, water, energy and infection values to make high-end consumables more useful. Like I said, they make it actually worth it for you to craft and cook these things. And actually refilling infection values does sound kind of cool with food like that you cook. That's sick. Like you can see here, we get into some difficulty options. They first off added option to allow building in safe zones and defaulted to allowed in single player. I am currently in single player and I am building on the Liberator. Some people were probably wondering how I'm doing this. It is because of a new change. This means you can build on the Liberator now. Ah, it's in the patch notes even. Nice. This is also an option, by the way. You can disable this on your server if you want to. Added options to allow building in no build zones. Useful for many custom maps that restrict building in points of interest, such as towns and cities. Then added server option to require minimum low grass density. Since this affects accessibility, it is highlighted in the server lobby screen. Hosts of hardcore PvP servers may wish to enable this, because everyone just goes into their options here, graphics down, and grass density. Most people put this to off, but for servers, as this is a PvP thing. And now we get to specific map changes. So they added forageable honeyberry bushes to all maps except Russia, so except the map that we are on. So in this one locker here, we actually have illegal goods, I guess you could say. Then honeyberries can be purchased from T. Rickster's black market on Russia. Okay, so one of the NPCs, I guess Russia gets a little bit of special treatment in this. Then newly added fish and giant squid are sellable to Chef Leonard on Russia, which is, if you go down in the Liberator, these two guys, Chef Leonard, where do you get your supplies, blah blah blah, I like to trade, and you can sell new fish types, like raw shrimp and stuff, but selling him the giant squid only gets unlocked after you completed the quest line from that pirate NPC over there. Then they also added mineable clay nodes to all maps. So let's get into a little jump up into clay and base building. We have new clay added. This is a common crafting supply. With that, they also added a pottery kiln for making bricks from clay and a couple of other things, which is this one, and we can actually place this on the Liberator. Is a heat source, I guess, as well. And with this next to us in workstations, we can see the pottery kiln. So I gave myself 10 clay now. We could make with 2 clay 1 ceramic bowl or 1 ceramic plate. We do need crafting level 2 for the plate though, and with 2 clay we can make bricks. As you can see, requires pottery kiln, which is just insane to see that you can craft clay into bricks. Oh my god, thank you Nelson so much. This is such a cool update. Not only can you make brick walls, you can also make brick floor, a brick triangle floor. The texture is weird, it's like wrong, but imagine it's a triangle. Obviously a brick roof and triangular brick roof, and they also made a change to the texture for the floor and roof parts. So the roof, as you can see, has like another outline instead of just being one color. So you can actually differentiate it in the inventory or when it's placed on the ground. For example, on the ground, this is the roof, this is the floor. They also added a brick hole, a triangular brick hole. Every single building material, wood types, metal and brick, got a triangular hole. So for you base builders, this is probably really cool. And obviously you got brick stairs and a brick ramp as well. So yeah, that is all the clay and base building stuff, which is just really cool. Like I mentioned, I have not played this game in 3 years, so I have not touched any of like these workstations yet. But from the looks of it, this looks like something that would be in a workshop as a little like better farming, for example, back in the day. And actually, Dog Food created most of the awesome new items and animations in this update. Molten Montreux implemented the overwhelming number of balancing, riding and level design changes. Huge thanks to them both for all their hard work. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that Dog Food is the creator of the better farming mod that added like so many different vegetables, foods and pizzas and all that kind of stuff. Just having this in vanilla, like one of my favorite things is just the mushroom stew. Like, oh my god, this animation is just so cool, bro. It's just so cool. And this one also provides warmth, food, immunity, stamina and water. Like provides warmth for 6 seconds. It's so cool. Oh, it's just such a cool update. I've been waiting for vanilla content so long. That's not just a new curated map. I cannot tell you how happy I'm with this. But yeah, let's jump back to the map changes category. After the mineable clay nodes, they also added Lighthouse spawn table. So if you are, for example, on PI, you can spawn like one of the spawns is directly next to one of the lighthouses. They have some new stuff, aka a new outfit. This is what they look like. So if you're interested in wearing these at the beginning, I guess this is pretty cool. Or for roleplay servers maybe, or just for cosmetics in your single player. If you want to go fishing like this, there's an option. It looks pretty cool. They also moved a couple of player spawn points on PI away from Summerside military base. So you can't just spawn immediately next to military base. I guess you have to walk a bit further and maybe go to 1 or 2 locations before that to get some lower tier loot, instead of just immediately going to PI's military base and getting a maple strike and then dominating the server. They also updated the area around PI's lighthouse with a small cave, larger nav mesh and some more zombies. So I teleported to my waypoint. This is the lighthouse, like I mentioned. One of these spawns is like over there. Okay, that one is actually wearing the new clothes. That is pretty cool. Let's take a machete and whack his ass. So yeah, that is the new outfit on a zombie as well, if you were interested. Yeah, yes, they do spawn with this. Oh, let's just go into the... Oh, yo. Yep, I'm on top of a cave already. Okay, I don't even have to go into the camera. There is some metal nodes right here and inside. There's also some new mushrooms in here. There's a zombie indeed. But yeah, we can forage these mushrooms. Nice. Oh no, I'm gonna be on drugs. God damn. So yeah, this is a new location, for example, to build in, I guess. If you can claim it on a server. We all know how fought for the pirate cave is, so this is a nice option to have a second cave if you don't want to go down to the pirate cove down here. Which we will actually do, because I believe one of the clay spawn points... Oh, yep. Ah, we had one in the cave where we just were as well. Okay, I didn't notice that is the thing. And there should be some clay dropping now. Okay, we got 3 clay, and if you remember, we need 2 clay for 1 pair of bricks. But yeah, these are the new clay things. Let's move on. Next up, they removed trees/foliage hidden under Yukon's ice lakes. I guess that was just a visual thing. That was a mistake. Fixed a typo on some festive content. They tweaked Germany's ponds to be considered dirty rather than salty. It's not as good as drinking clean water, but it's better than salt water. Germany has separate fishing spawn tables depending on if it's fresh water or salt water as well. The bottom of the waterfall and the pond in SE are affected by this. Also something that has been added, you can now find coconuts on every single official map, not just on, I think it was Hawaii, in just the supermarkets, the grocery stores, etc. And one more thing I have in these lockers is a sewing table and a spinning wheel. They say added the sewing workstation blueprint available from libraries, allows crafting the spinning wheel and loom, which are alternative options for sewing capabilities. Replace the spinning wheel with the sewing table, so this has been replaced with this. It has the same functionality and a similar recipe, ID 1924. The sewing table is easier to find when searching for sewing capabilities and fits in more similarly with the other workstations. Then also they prevent accidentally skipping NPC dialogue right after it finishes playing. Then toggling gore settings affects objects while level is loaded. Forageable resource dump prefab is only visible while harvested. Updated brick structure, items, description and rarity. Small stuff like renamed squid to giant squid. Added rarity colors to more consumables. Added new loading screen tips for the pottery kiln, clay mining and fishing. A funny thing, they added maple syrup can very rarely drop from maple trees. So for example on P&I and stuff, if you're chopping down maple trees, you may get some little maple syrup in return. Then we also have some fixes, which I will leave on screen right here. You can look at that. If there's anything, they also get all thanks to community members. But yeah, down in the comments, let me know what you think about this update. I really like this. I think this is one of the biggest Unturned updates we have received in a long time for vanilla, and especially updates to official maps. For example, in the newest episode of the Unturned podcast that actually released like a week ago, I heard during that the last official map we got was Germany, and that was released in like what, 2017. It's been like 9 years since that release, so that is just, my mind got blown a bit by that. So yeah, I would actually be down for a new official map, or if we don't get more official maps, we can keep the community making curated maps, because those are pretty beloved as it seems, because everyone is hyped for the next curated map that is coming early 2026. We could keep adding this kind of vanilla content, I feel like. Updating older stuff like animation wise, and just the balancing of the stats for the food items in this case, that give you different buffs or different effects. I think we can keep working on that. I hope Nelson is working on that. I mean, I don't think we should have weekly Friday updates back. It would be sick, obviously, but I would also be down for every like 2 or 3 months we get one of these really big content drops, or looking at older mechanics in the game and just rebalancing or reinventing, reimagining them. If you're more of a PvP person, I can understand why you probably don't really care about some of this stuff, or find some stuff like the fishing a bit annoying. But for server owners, like I mentioned, you can turn all the fishing stuff off if you don't like that on your server. But yeah, I really like this, and this makes me actually very excited to play Unturned again, and maybe even record it. So yeah, if you like this video, like and subscribe for more Unturned Linux and retro gaming stuff, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.